All right, so guess what number 5 is? I'll give you a hint. It's our background is right now. We'll hint you.
It's Kerbal Space Program.
Are you even looking?
No.
There's like,
It's Kerbal Space Program.
it's not Kerbal Space Program.
What?
I didn't do this vote. Like, do you?
Do you people? What's going on?
We all voted and it didn't. Like, I'm sorry, didn't make it. Number 5 is Ori and the Blind Forest. One of the more favorable aspects of modern game design is how stories are becoming more personal, which creates a connection between the creator and the player. The melancholy fable carries themes of loss, obsession, tenderness, and a common kinship between parents that reach a stirring conclusion on par with any film we've seen in recent years. On top of that, Nascent Moon Studios piled on the most gorgeous 2D animation we've ever seen in a game, and mechanical underpinning so masterfully fine-tuned it felt like an extension of your own hands was reaching onto the screen. In terms of the tone, the themes, and even mechanics, one could be reminded of Limbo. It's incredible how Ori was able to tell a beautiful, emotionally resonating story without saying a word. And there it was, there to pull you right at your heartstrings. But what really put Ori over the top was that it played with one of the more frustrating tropes of this kind of game, particularly saving, and actually turned it into a mechanic of its own. This game is much tougher than it looks, and it's one of those games where if you had to hit a tough stretch and had to go back to complete mundane stretches to get back to that stretch, many could have gotten frustrated and walked away. But here you're able to make your own save spot, which made repeated death a lot more manageable. And because of the option to save wherever you want, Moon Studios didn't hold back on the difficulty. Usually a story-rich game from a small studio goes in for a more puzzle or RPG-oriented direction. Since they're not as skill-based, those genres lend themselves to story progression with some reasonable assurance that players will be able to make it all the way on their own. Ori and the Blind Forest didn't pull any punches with difficulty, making the platforming extra tough. The do-it-yourself save points are not just a necessity to save from frustration. That difficulty makes the excellent story all the more fulfilling to see, because it feels like you earned it. It's absolutely worth seeing all the way through. This isn't a game that's afraid to make you sink or swim, and in the case of one of the harder sequences, quite literally.